Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. Back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Let's Talk Arsenal series, our twice weekly show on a Tuesday and a Friday, although we have been doing a hell of a lot more than just two shows a week, because it is the transfer window and things have been kicking off. This is our second LTA show of the day, because we did one a little bit earlier on today, talking about the big news regarding Amazon Prime, which I'm sure will come up a little bit more in today's show. I hope you're good. I hope you're doing well. This is our Friday show, which has been for the last couple of weeks a phone-in show, in which a lot of you guys have been phoning in with your thoughts and your feelings about the transfers. We've been chatting to a whole host of new guests, which has been fantastic, really, to kind of integrate ourselves in with myself with a lot more of the listeners and get your thoughts and feelings about the transfer window and everything else that goes and entailed with it too. So that's absolutely brilliant. So thank you so much, you guys. I'm sorry that this show is a little bit earlier on in the day. I'm well aware of the fact that it is. And for some reason, I'm not sure why, but YouTube haven't been notifying people that these videos are going into their sub boxes, which is annoying, but, you know, it's part and parcel of YouTube, I suppose. Anyway, I hope you're good and well. This is our Q&A show of the week, in which I know that we're doing it at a really awkward time. So I'm not expecting plenty of everyone to be in here as usual, or for it to be as hectic, but it is the opportunity for you guys to ask some questions in the chat box and to get your thoughts and feelings heard across the show and across the different topics that we are going to be discussing. In regards to kind of where we're at so far, it's been a weird couple of weeks, I suppose, with kind of where the situation is with transfers of the players that Arsenal have been linked with, and with how, of course, we see ourselves moving in the very near future. And what I want to do is I want to get kind of the thoughts and feelings about the frustration, about the things that have been annoying you, the things that have been really kind of getting on under your skin and get under your nerves about Arsenal's transfer window, so we can talk about it. Jazzmeat says, Ruben, Neves, news, please. And the honest answer is that at the moment we're in a situation where, as we reported on our morning show today, that Arsenal have supposedly offered a 5-year contract to Ruben Neves of Wolverhampton Wanderers. Whether or not that will be accepted, we don't know. And that is, of course, just personal terms and just a situation where that deal is subject to the clubs agreeing a transfer fee. It's also subject to the clubs agreeing about what kind of structure of the deal that they would do and how that would move forwards. But I see more of you are jumping in now. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys, in the middle of the day as well. We're going to try and get through as many as your questions answered as possible. So if you do have one, please throw them into the chat box. So Hill says, Tom, would you be okay with us not signing a right back if Ainsley Maitland-Niles agrees to play in that position? The honest answer, Sahil, is no, I wouldn't. I don't want to see Ainsley Maitland-Niles playing at right back. I don't think that's his best position. And I think his best position is ultimately a position that's not good enough, really, to play for Arsenal right now, which some people might turn around and say that's a little bit harsh, and maybe we should be a little bit more accepting of the fact that he's been decent for us, and he has been decent for us at times. But I just think that in regards to how his output is, and in regards to what he's been doing for Arsenal and for West Brom as well, of course, spending time on loan there last season, that he didn't really show me enough to make me think, yeah, this guy is going to be in the Arsenal team for the future, without question. Crickets in the right back department, says TJ Cummings. Hope we're bringing someone in. As I said and have said for a number of shows now, I think it is going to take, of course, Hector Bellerin leaving for Arsenal to be linked with a move or more moves for specific right backs. At the moment, Arsenal obviously looking at moving on Granit Xhaka, William Saliba, Mavropanos has moved on, David Luiz has moved on. So that centre-back area, that midfield area, is certainly places on the pitch in which Arsenal are looking actually to really kind of invest their time in finding replacements. Until Hector Bellerin has moved on, I doubt you're going to see too many links to kind of right backs throughout the rest of the season until that point actually happens. Andrew Puppy says, Pjanic news, nothing in regards to Arsenal. There was purely interest that came out last week. He's not a player that I want to see at Arsenal. Wrong age profile, wrong wage level. And it's just not really a smart move, I think, for Arsenal to go for. Samela says, Basuma news. Again, nothing on the Basuma front is coming through, unfortunately. There's only been interest from the club, nothing in regards to talks, nothing in regards to a bid. If something falls through their other targets, maybe they'll move for Basuma. But at the moment, absolutely nothing on that front, and he still will be a Brighton player next season unless Arsenal or anyone else, of course, move in for the Malian midfielder. Alex Jones says, do you think we are going to pursue 5 at the back or 4 at the back next season? Would you see Ainsley playing as a wing-back? I mean, if Ainsley is going to play, the only position I feel that he's most comfortable to play in is, of course, going to be in a wing-back position. Now, the issue with that is that I don't think Arsenal are necessarily going to play that system. And if they do, he has seemingly worked better as a left wing back. Now, it's not to say being right-footed that he couldn't play as a right wing back for us next season. But I think ultimately that's probably not the style of system that Arteta is going to move to use. And if we do, we're probably going to bring in a proper right back that can indeed play in that right wing back role. Get the money for this guy as soon as possible, move him on, reinvest it, and just deal with that situation as quickly as feasibly possible. Veli says, we hardly had players at the Euros, yet we have been dragging our feet getting rid of deadwoods or incomings. I foresee a panic buy towards the end of the window. You have to also think about that it doesn't matter that Arsenal haven't necessarily got loads of players at the Euros, because other teams certainly do have lots of players at the Euros. You've also got a situation where we will wait until more players and more dominoes have fallen so that some clubs can then move for certain players. Brighton and Watford are interested in Nketiah, for instance. They may wait until one of their players has either moved on or they've accumulated the funds that they need to move then for Nketiah. It might require Brighton to get the money in for Ben White before they start thinking about going in for someone else. So you have to think about those factors. But I agree with you that I am a little bit concerned about how slow the outgoings are being, considering that we've hit pre-season now. The fact that Ainsley Maitland-Niles did that interview where he basically opened up and told us that he doesn't know what's going on. He hasn't really have a clue about his situation. So I think it is something that we have to be a little bit aware of, but I have understanding right now about why we're being a little bit slow. The Mongoose in the chat says, why does everyone think we have £200+ million to spend? Heard this breeze for years. Love my Arsenal. We just ain't what we used to be. And the thing is, Mongoose, which is a sentence that I never thought I would say, is that we think that because unfortunately some media outlets have produced content that informs people that there is this supposed war chest. And the fact of the matter is, and what we tell you and what we've said to you time after time after time, is that they wouldn't tell us. They would not leak information about a transfer budget. They would not do that. The only way that those possible kind of indication about how much Arsenal have to spend is by how much they end up spending early on in the window, how much money they're going to sell, and by looking at a few of maybe looking through the finances that are published every single year. But even then, you don't know how much Arsenal are going to spend or how much they've got to spend. And if they leak that information, other clubs suddenly become aware of the fact that Arsenal are flushed with cash, and they will then hike the prices of any players that Arsenal then try and negotiate for. So you just need to be, a little bit aware of the fact that there are, unfortunately, outlets out there that are trying to get you to click on those articles that tell you how much money Arsenal have got to spend, because it's an interesting story and it's one that they know that you are going to click on. John Daly says, with the crowds back, Amazon TV, everything is pointing towards one hell of a season for Aubameyang, because he can't have 2 poor seasons. Surely, he's a man that loves the limelight, it's fair to say. And all the better for it, hopefully, with fans back next season, with the TV crews that are going to be around the club next season, fingers crossed, Aubameyang will be back to his best. It's arguably one of the reasons why maybe you won't see Arsenal push for a striker this window, because, of course, the presence of Aubameyang, the fact that Lacazette is still here, and we've got Fuller and Balogun coming through as well, and Nketiah is still here, which is another factor that we need to consider. So there are a few reasons as to why we've got that. ML Reaction says, do you think we'll complete any signings before the first pre-season game? Well, the first pre-season game is on the 13th of July, which means I doubt it, mainly because of quarantine reasons. Now, after the 19th of July in the UK, I'm not sure how that changes quarantine rules and whether people who come from certain countries have to then quarantine. In that case, Boris Johnson has said that they will be keeping an eye on kind of the border control situations, but the length of time needed to isolate, if someone's fully vaccinated, which those players could be by now, we don't know, could change that. But the reason why you've not seen anything about Nuno Tavares is because he's self-isolating in London right now. Sambi Lokonga is also going to have to self-isolate and quarantine for a period of time before he can actually get into the Arsenal team. So I'd be surprised if Lokonga went to Scotland. Tavres could do, because it's been longer. It's been an extra period of time. Lokonga, though, I would imagine will be going with the side to the Miami, the Florida preseason tour. We're playing Inter Milan and then one of Everton or the Colombian side, Millonarios, I think it might be. So I don't think you'll see them there, and I don't think we'll sign anyone prior to that first preseason game because of quarantine rules. It may not be announced until they've finished their quarantine. So you have to think about those things that are certainly there. Let's scroll down a little bit more. Thank you so much, guys, everyone that's tuning in. Several hundred of you have always tuned in. And I mean, over the last few shows, I've had over 1,000 at times. So it's been amazing. So thank you so much for your support as always. Drop a like on the video to show it as well. My fella says, how very dare he? Charles watches Stroll. Apologies, Charles. I don't mean to cross over. It's just the time that I was doing the show. We've already answered that one. Dan says, if Arsenal are able to get cash to pay Ramos, what is hard in getting Maddison, my dream midfield, Partey and Basuma or Locatelli in front of them, Maddison? We need a strong team to compete. I mean, I don't think Arsenal were ever kind of really interested in Sergio Ramos. I know there were a couple of reports that suggested that he turned us down for PSG, which I just cannot fathom to be any kind of true at all. No, it's just Arsenal, no way we're pushing for Sergio Ramos. Maybe there was interest. Maybe there was a little bit of like, oh, let's just, keep tabs on this situation. But he was always going to PSG. So it was never a case of Arsenal. So I don't think those two are mutually exclusive, if you know what I mean. Veli says, would you chance Kasper Dolberg to refresh the front line? Not particularly. I don't think he's kicked on too much since leaving Ajax for Nice. I don't think he's improved a lot since then. He had an okay European Championships, but not anything spectacular. So no, I'm sorry, I wouldn't go to Dolberg, to be honest. So says, some thoughts on Sergino Dest as a player. Really interesting talent, of course, coming over from Ajax, of course, American international too, now Barcelona. Versatile player that can play in midfield, can play both fullback positions, mainly though as a right back. Could he be the guy that Arsenal should go for? I doubt that Barcelona would want to lose him, considering they've only just had him for a single season. So for me, I wouldn't really be tempted to push in any way for Sergino Dest, unless, of course, Barcelona are willing to entertain, which is all possible because we know the situation there is very difficult right now. Mohammed says, Houssem Aouar's brother, who is his agent, is in London right now. He could be having a nice holiday for all we know. False Manager says, Vieira pull already on display with Elise at 8 million. I don't think that's Vieira. I don't think that's a deal that's been sorted for a long, long time. Vieira was confirmed last week. This was a deal between Michael Elise and Crystal Palace that has been running for a serious amount of time now, and they finally got the deal over the line. So it's nothing to do with Vieira. So apologies to trample all over that idea. Maxi says, are there any links to young Brazilian players? Well, we did see some links to Vanderson, who was a Grêmio right back over in Brazil. We were also linked to Mateus Martinelli, who plays for Fluminense as kind of a central midfielder. We were linked to him too. So there's a couple, but there's not really. And we haven't pushed for either of those two signings, and we haven't pursued those two any more than the initial links suggested that we might do. So there's been no link so far to young Brazilians besides those two that I mentioned there. Anyway, we are going to move now to the sponsorship part of the video, which is, of course, as always for our Friday show, we are sponsored by Football Prizes, which is a fantastic website, which means that you can win some amazing Arsenal-related stuff and some pretty cool stuff at that. And this week's prize, which is now unfortunately sold out, they do go quick ever since football prizes have started to sponsor us. A lot of you guys have jumped on to sign up, and Highbury squad as well. I've jumped on to sign up and get a lot of the tickets. So they've been going very quickly in the weeks. We had a Kieran Tierney signed shirt last week that went very fast. I don't know what the prize is for this week, but I'm sure it's going to be a good one. But today's prize, which does run out in just 6 hours' time, was a signed and framed JVC classic Arsenal shirt signed by Adams, Bold, Winterburn, and Dixon. So really fantastic prize. And we're now going to find out which two of our Discord server members have won a free ticket into the draw. So I just need to go into the Discord server to check how many people have entered from the Discord. 27 people have indeed entered. So we type in 27. I'm going to click this 5 times, and then whoever the number lands on the 5th go will be our first winner. And then I'll click it 5 more times. And whoever the number lands on the second time will be our second winner. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I did click that twice. It landed on 2 back to back. So our first winner is 9. Number 9 is Daniel Roberts. Congratulations to Dan. I should stress that the second 5, if it lands on 9 again, we will go to someone else, because I like to have the 2 separate winners. But here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Number 11. And number 11 is Kian. Kian and Daniel Robert have both won the 2 tickets this week. So a massive congratulations to both of you guys, 2 of our most longest serving Discord members and massive parts of the TGT community. So fantastic news for those 2. So congratulations, guys. And I know you guys know that Dan and Kian have been watching the show for a long, long time and get involved with things. So I'm sure they're going to be very happy for them. Miwan says, Tom, thoughts on Pedro Gonçalves, the Sporting Lisbon wide forward with the European Championships with Portugal this summer? I like the kid a lot. I think he's going to go for a hell of a lot of money. Goal scorer, a really good goal scorer from a deeper position on the pitch as well. Someone that would certainly be catching the eye of plenty of clubs around Europe. I'd love him. I think he'd be a fantastic player. I don't think Arsenal are going to go for him, which is a shame. But there you go. Yes, massive congratulations to Kian and Dan. See, this is the togetherness in the chat box. There you go. Fung says, who would you want to come in as dream signing this season? Dream signing. Wow, that's a big kind of word. Do you mean in realistic terms, Fung, or I can have whoever I like? Let me know in the chat, because I don't want to answer your question wrong. So let me know, Fung. Do you mean anyone I want, or realistically who is a dream signing? Philip says, have you seen the Amazon news? Yes, I have. I've done an entire video on it. So if you want to check that one out, Philip, please do. Hello, Ross. Venkatesh says, Tom, which area should we concentrate and try to get a specialist coach for that? Can't be expecting Arteta to solve every position. Now, of course, Arteta does have his backroom staff. We've only just employed, again, a set-piece coach as well, which is a fantastic bit of business for us, because we struggled to try and score set pieces. We were decent at defending them last campaign, but we weren't very good at scoring them. So it's a good move for Arsenal to have gone for a set-piece coach. So that's really, really good news. But other areas of the pitch, goalkeeping, maybe, because, you know, Leno has struggled. Runnison was the Iñaki Kena, who is our goalkeeping coach, recommendation. I'm not sure if that was a good decision and good choice on his part. Has the goalkeeping improved under him? I'm not sure that it has. So maybe the goalkeeping position. Fung says, why not whoever you want, then someone realistic? Well, if it was whoever I want, obviously an Erling Haaland would be the choice, without an absolute shadow of a doubt. If you're saying I can have anyone I like, Erling Haaland, absolutely, no doubt about it. He brings everything that we would need: physicality, clinicalness, pace, a physical presence in the box, like so much potential, and I love his character as well. So yeah, that's the unrealistic dream signing that Arsenal could go out and get. In terms of a realistic one, I think Max Aarons, genuinely. You may be surprised at that, but I want Arsenal to sign a quality right back this summer. And Max Aarons, for me, is a really, really good choice for Arsenal to go for. So I think for me, That is the one that I would pick. John Daly says, if you have to pick one for right back, who would your top three between Cedric, Chambers, and Maitland-Niles? For right back, Chambers first, Maitland-Niles second, and then we can get rid of Cedric. So there you go. Thabo says, since Barcelona is in a financial mess, I wouldn't mind if Arsenal went to them and got a quality player on the cheap for all the nonsense they got up regarding Cesc. It depends who it is, Thabo. Obviously, if it's someone like a Pjanic, I'm not interested. If it's someone like a Sergino Dest, an Emerson, etc., a Pedri, which is never going to happen, but someone like that, that's when I'd be a little bit more open to the idea. So I think that's probably the right kind of route to go through. Venkatesh says, what about someone who could point Arteta's tactical side? Surely we don't seem to have any kind of plan B. Maybe so. Maybe, who is the guy who's the backup? Is it Stuvenberg? Is that his name? He, for me, is someone who's a bit of a yes man from the looks of things. He doesn't ever look like he's really challenging Arteta, but we don't know. But you know how we will find out is we will watch the Amazon Prime documentary, which is going to be a lot of fun. Fung says, I love these videos. The chat is cool, supportive, and Tom gives us real info. Thanks, mate. I tried to do my best, and we got arguably, I think anyway, the best Arsenal chat community on the platform. Dishan, says, honestly, I think Maitland-Niles will play right back if we don't get one in. Who knows? And I know I say that a lot. I'm very well aware of the fact that when I say who knows a lot, but he looks like he wants to go. He sounds like he wants to leave. He's not happy with his situation. Who would be? I mean, it's very clear for me that it's not going particularly well. And so I think when you consider all of that, it makes sense to move an unhappy player on. I think that's just the most sensible route of going about this, to be honest. Yusa says, Barca's young centre midfielder Moriba is refusing to renew his contract, and that might be sold this summer. Would I take him? Maybe if I'd take him, but the thing is why would you look at Arsenal right now? You look at Partey, you look at Aziz coming through, you look at Lokonga being signed, you look at another midfielder that's going to come in, be a Neves or an Aouar or whoever that's going to be brought in. Where is he ever going to get the minutes? That's the issue for him. So I think he would likely move to another Spanish club that is much less competitive in their midfield. So we'll see what happens. Also says, I'm inclined to think that Neves is the best Xhaka replacement. If Maddison is too expensive, let's get Sabitzer. Forget about the right back. We have options. I wouldn't forget about right back, but I would focus on where you're talking about right now. I wouldn't necessarily panic about right back at this moment in time. We've still got three. We don't need to worry about that. We do need to worry about midfield. We do need to worry about attacking midfield. They are the areas that should be our focus right now. So, yeah, there you go. Anish says, Tom, how are you so good at this is such a patronizing question. How are you so good at football knowledge and the best for us drama because of the documentary? I mean, there are a lot of people that know a hell of a lot more about football than I do. Just to throw that out there, there are some amazing podcasts that you should go and listen to. Tifo, I learn a lot from watching Tifo. It's a fantastic channel with some really good guys. The Athletic and everything they do is fantastic as well. But from a personal point of view, and to the missus' detriment, I watch a lot of football. I just can't get enough of watching football. And when I say watching football, I'm not talking about sitting down and watching like 8 matches a day. I mean, I watch the Arsenal, find out about a player I like and go and research them, go onto Wisecout, watch the clips of them, find out what they're doing, how they're getting on. And to be honest, I don't play FIFA anymore, but genuinely when growing up, playing FIFA made me learn a lot about different clubs, different nations, different players. I didn't learn about them specifically as players, but just being aware of who they are came through playing video games at an early age. I don't play it anymore. And now I learn about them from an analytical and tactical perspective, now being older and having access to things like Wisecout and stuff like that. So genuinely, whilst I criticize FIFA and the way that it really does pull the wool over the eyes of all of its consumers, it is one of the ways that I learned a lot about lots of different kind of players and stuff like that. So yeah, as Tackle says, FIFA is brilliant for like the actual knowledge of knowing of loads of different players. It's great for that. And that's where I first learned it. But then obviously as you get older, you start to actually watch games, watch players, watch clips, watch things about them, look at the statistics, see them, travel and watch games. I mean, I've been to Lisbon to watch Sporting Lisbon play. I've been all up and down the UK watching Arsenal and obviously other teams as well. It was great going to Wembley for the Euros to watch Italy against Austria. So it's great watching football. And I implore, if you don't do it, to do it as much as feasibly possible now that crowds are going back into ground. So please do. Fantasy football is another good way to try and just learn more about who exists and players that are out there. So there you go. Also get into watching like other teams. Like people moan and say that you shouldn't have like second, third, fourth teams. You can't support more than one team, but you certainly can follow plenty. Like you can follow, like I follow Red Bull Salzburg. I love watching them. I love like seeing the youth come through and seeing them progress. I love watching Spanish football and following Spanish football. It was gutting last season because Espanyol, who are my Spanish team, were not in La Liga. They got relegated, but they'll be back there next season. So it's follow lots of different teams. You can only support one, but you can follow as many as you like. So that's always a good thing. Who's spamming the chat? Yes, please stop spamming the chat. You will be timed out. Would I take Marco Asensio, says the Emirates faithful. If you are a long-term listener of the show, Asensio was always one of our early boys. He was always one of the ones that, love watching him. I've got an Espanyol shirt with his name on the back. I love Marco Asensio. And I think that if he hadn't have had that leg injury, the knee injury, then he really could have been something really special. Would I take him? Of course I would take him. Of course I would take him. I think maybe we could rekindle his career. He could be the attacking midfielder that Arsenal are looking for. He would be a risk. And I'm throwing all of my principles out the window. Absolutely every single one of my principles. So do not take this opinion as level-headed, Tom. I'm not being level-headed when I say I want Asensio. It is complete irrational thinking. It is complete nostalgia. That is all it is. But I would 100% go and get him because I just tracked his career for so long. I'd love to see him at Arsenal to the detriment of the club. So there you go. Yes, I would take Marco Asensio. Tackle says, I follow Brighton and Leicester. They both play brilliant football. Fair play to you. Man like Mo says, Tom, we do need to worry about right-backs. We have 4, including Ainsley, and they're all not good enough. Right now, let's get the key positions in. I know what you're saying. They're not good enough. Chambers did very well at the end of last season. I'm happy for him to be back up. I'm happy for him to start the season if we need him. But focus on midfield, focus on attacking midfield, focus on the areas that we really, really need to improve on, and then we can worry about right back. We still should worry about it for the window, but right now I'm chill. I'm chill on the right back situation. Leo says, do I think that Aouar will come to Arsenal? My prediction would be no. I would be surprised if Aouar ends up at Arsenal, but crazier things have happened. Yeah, MIL, it's all bias. Asensio, complete bias. Like Szoboszlai, complete bias. Like you're never going to get a rational bit of thinking out of me about Asensio or Szoboszlai. So I'll wax lyrical about those two all day long. But I won't pull the wool over your eyes. I'll tell you as it is. I'm being completely irrational about those two. So ask me about any other players if you want genuine, rational, level-headed thinking about them. There you go. I did just mention him. But I want to see how he gets on at Leipzig, to be honest, as I want to see it because obviously he spent a long time injured this season, went to RB, went to Leipzig and hasn't played because he's been injured, was meant to play at the Euros, didn't play because he's injured, which sucks, absolutely sucks. He didn't get to play. But fingers crossed he has a mad season for him. Jabu says, do you think there's an opportunity with Vieira at Crystal Palace to agree a loan for Saliba and Reece? I have no idea about the kind of link between Vieira and Arsenal and any kind of possible move. Vieira's not been involved with Arsenal since he left in 2005. He's not had any involvement with the club, bar interviews, bar media stuff. That's the only link he's ever had with the club since then. He went off to Man City. He then worked for Man City as kind of coaching in the youth sides. He then went to New York and coached there. He then came back to France and coached Nice, and now he's at Crystal Palace. So I understand that he's an ex-Arsenal player and he's a coach, and maybe that means he'll take some Arsenal players on loan. I don't see it that way. I just don't think there's the same connection there that other people see. I think it's. I don't think that will happen. It may, like, he may go out. Crystal Palace may go out and get Reece Nelson. Who knows? But I don't think it will be just because Vieira and the Arsenal link. I don't think that's the case. 360 David says, what are you most excited to see from the documentary? I'm most excited to see how the executive side of things works, if we do end up seeing that, and if we see it working truthfully. And by the way, I mean, a lot of people that I'm very good friends with are very critical of this, and I'm not happy about this at all. I just want to say, I'm buzzing. Like, genuinely, I'm absolutely buzzing about this Amazon documentary. I don't care about kind of the distraction thing that people say. I don't think it is a distraction. I don't think it's an issue. I mean, Manchester City won a league. I know it's Manchester City before you jump on me. I'm buzzing for it. I really genuinely am excited to see this documentary, to see what goes on inside the club, to see more about what's happening inside. Sure, it's going to be censored. Sure, we're going to see what they want us to see. We're still going to see stuff that we would never otherwise see. It's 2021. And I know that that's a saying that gets thrown around a lot, but it's 2021, and this is a very, very normal thing. It's a very normal part of sport now. The media is so ingrained in the sport. The all access, all areas, the access all areas style of thing is not new. It's exciting. I'm really excited. I'm not going to be miserable about it. I'm not going to hide my excitement about it. I'm buzzing about it. So that's my thoughts on the documentary in short. But I did do an entire show dedicated to it if you do want to go and check that out. Critical or not, meme-worthy or not, is it financially a good deal? Arsenal are getting at least, and this is purely speculatory, at least £10 million, because The Athletic reported that Spurs received £10 million for the deal, and Arsenal, with a much bigger global fan base, a global reach, more attraction. I mean, let's be real. Hammers are going to get a lot more viewers of the Arsenal series than they will of the Spurs series. I'm not just saying that as an Arsenal fan. Take my biased hat off for a second. They will get more views for the Arsenal All or Nothing than the Spurs one would have got, and therefore, surely that is worth a more pretty penny to the Amazon people. Surely this is going to be worth more than £10 million to Arsenal, and 10 million is a lot of money. I mean, it's a Matteo Guendouzi, is what it is. It's a decent amount of money that will go into the club this season, and 100%. I think it's a good deal. So yeah. Anish says, I recently discovered your channel after watching your content. I'm addicted to your content. I watch other Arsenal related channels too, but you're the best. Big fan from Nepal. Thank you ever so much, Anish. Really appreciate your support. You've joined one of the best communities on the platform. Whoever was watching this, you are awesome. Like, we just have the best audience ever. You're just a great community. Lyndall says, do you think loaning out Saliba is the right decision? I have done a couple of shows dedicated to talking about this. In my opinion, yes, I think it is the right decision. Now, don't bite my head off because you know how it gets talking about Saliba. I know how desperate we all are to see William Saliba play. I'm desperate to see William Saliba play in an Arsenal shirt. I really, really, really am. I say this, and I know I'm a broken record, and apologies if you've heard me say this a number of times, but for those that haven't, he played 16 games for Saint Etienne in his penultimate season. When he joined there back on loan, he played 12 games. And last season for Nice, he played 20 games. He played more than 6 months at Nice than he played in the other 2 seasons. So he needs a full season. And we're signing a £50 million centre-back. He's going to be backup. He's going to be a backup player at Arsenal, whether you want him to be or not, whether I want him to be a starter, which I do. I'd love him to be given a chance to start. But the thing is that I don't think that's going to happen. And so I'd much rather he was able to prove Arteta wrong and prove that he deserves to play by going on loan for a whole season and play 38 games. That's what I want to see from Saliba. So yes, Lyndall, I do think it is a good and the right choice overall. And I hope he proves Arteta wrong. I really, really do. Thanks, Peter. Much appreciate that. Roshan says, Tavres is in London calling. According to Charles Watts, I mean, let's have a look. It'll be on his channel, won't it? So Make sure you check out Charles' channel and what he does. Great work over at Goal, as always. But it does seem like Tavares is certainly going to be an Arsenal player from the looks of things. Is Samir desperate for my attention? Well, Samir keeps on spamming the chat. I can't respond to him. We know the rules. We know how this works. Samir says, Bissouma would be a much better option than Neves, in my opinion. What do you think? Get both. That's my opinion. Get both. They're different players. They're different positions. Get both. There you go. I hope that answers your question, Samir. John says, are there such things as parent feeder clubs? I'd love Arsenal to have a baby brother in the lower leagues getting experience. What club would you choose and why? Mine would be MK Dons because it's local. Yes, John, there is such things as parent and feeder clubs. I mean, I did a whole show on Brexit, right? And stick with me. Don't go anywhere yet. I know I've said the bad word. But in that show that I did about Brexit, I talked about how other clubs in the Premier League have all got feeder clubs. In fact, I'm going to put a link to it in the description so you can go and watch this. I'm also going to put it into the chat box. And in that video, I highlighted the different clubs that other teams in that league have. So Leicester have got one, Brighton have got one, Manchester City have got about 27 million around the world. That is not an overestimate. And ultimately what this means is because of Brexit, Arsenal can't sign players anymore from the continent or abroad that are at the ages of 16 or higher. Now, let me show you. I've actually got a print screen up from the link is on the screen now. I've got a print screen from that video that I did with the old graphics and everything. It's a really old show. It came out in January 1st. It was the New Year's Day show. So there you go. But in that show, you can see there that Leicester have got OHL in Belgium. Brighton have got USG also in Belgium. And Sheffield United have got Beershot, who are also in Belgium. Manchester City, which let me just find it. Here we go. Here's the picture. Manchester City have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 clubs. I think it's now 10. But they've got Troyes in France. They've got Girona in Spain. They've got New York City in New York. They've got Melbourne City in Australia. They've got Yokohama in Japan. They've got Montevideo. I always say this wrong. Montevideo in Uruguay. They've got. I'm not sure what that one is. They've got Mumbai City. They've got Lamel in Belgium. I'm pretty sure there's one in China that they've got as well, but I can't remember the name of it. But they've got a hell of a lot. But that video is on the channel. Go type. You never thought you'd be typing in those words. But there you go. So that shows out there. It will detail everything you need to know about feeder clubs. It will tell you everything you need to know about how Brexit will affect Arsenal, and it's quite a lot. It affects us a hell of a lot. So make sure you go and check it out. ML Reaction says, Tom, can you do a Chelsea on loan 13 youth players? Do you mean can Arsenal do a Chelsea and loan out 13 youth players? I think that's what you mean. If you do, you can within reason, but the loan rules are changing. So they're trying to stamp down on clubs like Chelsea loaning out all of their youth players and basically never having any sort of plan to get them into the first team and then just selling them on for a profit. You can no longer loan two players or more than two players to the same club. So like last season we had Sebastian Odegaard. I don't think you can have any more than two. So that's one. So Chelsea, for instance, used to loan about 5 players to Vitesse like every season. You're not allowed to do that anymore, I'm pretty sure. And you're certainly not allowed to loan. There's something different about the rules within the UK. I'm not going to speculate because I need to research it again, but I haven't read it up on it in a long, long time. But they are changing the loan rules. So Arsenal could loan out to plenty of clubs, and we are trying to do that. But it's nowhere near been as successful as Chelsea have. And unfortunately, Chelsea have already benefited a hell of a lot from it before the rules changed. So that's also a different problem. Martin says, Tom, did I give up on having Charles Watts on the channel? Look, I've tweeted Charles. I've done everything I can. You guys have tweeted Charles. he's clearly not up for it. So we can only try, and we've had some great people on the channel. James Benger's come on, Arse Bloggers come on. We've had people from The Athletic come on. We've been blessed with how many amazing people have come on the channel. And so if Charles Watts isn't interested, I'm not going to be salty about it. It's his, it's up to him. He goes on what he wants to do. So there you go. Steph says, Ainsley could be perfect as an inverted wing back, but no, he wants to play midfield. He couldn't get in midfield in our worst season. Look at Zinchenko. He's doing what Mikel wants Maitland-Niles to do. I mean, possibly, but the thing is, I'm not sure Ainsley is of the level required to be able to play that kind of hybrid role. So that's the issue with that one. Yes, Doug, Drew is a fantastic guest that we have on every single week, as much as feasible. Well, nearly every single week. We get him on as much as we can. Roshan says, get Fabrizio on the show. Again, I've said this before. I'm not going to pay what it takes to get him on the show. So there you go. Sorry about that. Thabo says, do you think that Arteta will be brave enough to play hailing graduates, given that he'll be expected to qualify for Europa at least? The thing about this is it's not about brave. It's not about being brave, because Arsenal, and we want Arsenal to be in the top four. We want to be in a position where we can compete for our top targets. And I don't think that by throwing in kids as much as possible is going to help us get there. And I think we've talked about this before, it's about a balance. It's about finding a balance of youth and experience. And to be honest, the balance is only really 2 players under the age of 21 in your starting 11, really. That's around the right amount, to be honest. Any more than that, and it's tricky. You would say if they're good enough, then they're good enough. But inexperience is a problem. And I think you can only have your Smith Rowe and your Xhaka, and then you can bring on your Martinellis later, but I would not be risking much more. There are, as we've talked about before, there are not many clubs out there that play more than 2 21 and under players in their teams. And if there are, they're not in England. And they're not in the top flight, and they're not certainly pushing for top 4 in the top flight. And that's the situation that we've got at the moment. Not sure if you've already covered it, but your thoughts on the... Yes, I have talked about it, Dean. Dean, we've done an entire show on it. So if you want to go back to watch the show I did before this one, I'll give you all of my thoughts on it. But in short, I'm buzzing about it. I can't wait for it. Red and White Army TV says, Tom, would you prefer Sergei Milinkovic-Savic or Locatelli? Milinkovic-Savic. What a player that guy is. Yeah, Milinkovic-Savic. Unrealistic as hell. But yeah, absolutely Milinkovic-Savic. Thank you, Balaji. If you could drop a like on the video, I really would appreciate it, guys. I really, really genuinely would. Mr. Joe Kerr says, Tom, can you explain the snobbery against the Europa Trophy? I know financially top 4 is, but I'm hoping you mean the Europa League, Joe, right? Not the Conference League. Top 4 is better, but it's major European trophy, which we don't have and we can accomplish. The snobbery comes from Arsenal being a massive club, which it is. And obviously we want to be in the top 4 and we want to be in the Champions League. And the Europa League just doesn't seem, for a lot of people, good enough for Arsenal, which I understand. I get it. I really do. It's a really hard conversation because I don't want to be in the Europa League. I want to be in the Champions League, of course. And I know it's the next best option, but I am excited about this season, Joe. I'm excited about this season because of not having Europe. I'm excited about what could happen. I'm excited about having regular breaks. I'm excited about having more training sessions, more recovery time. That's what I'm excited about. Will it affect if we end up having midweek games? I don't think it will. But I'm excited about this, Joe, and I'm excited about the cup competitions. I want Arsenal to really go for a cup. Like, a lot of people are saying that we should only focus on the league, get into that top 4, and I understand that point of view. But without any league commitments, go get a League Cup. Go get an FA Cup again. Go add to it. Because at the end of the day, when I'm 80 odds and I look back on 2021-22, I'm not going to remember it for a year that we got into a top 4. I'll look at it for a year if we won a trophy. I know that getting top 4 is really, really important, and it's the priority. But I want to see us win a trophy. I just want to see us win a trophy again. I love winning trophies. I'm so excited for Sunday for England in the European Championship final. I know that England aren't very popular amongst the global fan base. I understand and I know why. But I'm excited because I love my team or my country winning trophies. And that is always going to be, for me, such a big thing. So, yes, go for the League Cup, go for the FA Cup, and importantly, push for the top 4. That's what we need to do this season. That's what I want to see is a club winning trophy. I mean, for instance, look at Harry Kane. Try to. And he is leaving Spurs because they aren't competing for trophies, right? I mean, he's won no trophies. And whether or not you're in the top 4, still winning things is important. And winning stuff and having the ability to win stuff is important for transfers. It's important to convince players that they will have silverware to fight for, that you're a viable option to win things. And so it's still certainly something that I want Arsenal to push for. When I say that I want us to win it, it's not about them being prioritised over top 4. It's me saying, or rather it's me not saying that I don't care about them, because I do care about the cup competitions, both of them, and I want us to go for them this season. Leo says, do you think players like Aziz, Hutchinson, Patino need a loan moves, or can they step up to the first team like Saka? Ultimately, Leo, it's down to the player and how good they are. I think Aziz needs a loan. I would love to see him get a loan this summer. I think it would be a really good move for him to test himself at a championship level or abroad in a top 5 league at a lower club in one of the top 5 leagues. That'd be great. But I don't think he will. I think he will stay this summer and this season. So 100%. Mr. Gaming says, do I prefer Smith Rowe or Ceballos? Are you mad? Of course, Smith Rowe. Of course, Smith Rowe. Sai says, Tom, what about Coutinho? He might be free agent, though, because Barca wants to offload him. No, thank you, Sai. Not interested in Coutinho. Wrong age profile, stupid wages, silly injury record, inconsistent. Not for me. Vuk says, where do you see Aouar if he comes? Like a number 8 or a cam? He seems to much prefer playing in a 4-3-3. Yes, and that's where I would see it. If we do end up signing him, I think he'll play as a number 8. That's where I see him. Manuel says, question, would it be a good idea to sell Leno and bring in a commanding goalkeeper to calm down and help our young backline? Don't want to body shame, but Schmeichel gives me way more confidence than nervy. I don't think it's about body shaming when you're talking about confidence. That's not body shaming, Manuel. That's judging character. That's nothing to do with that. I mean, I understand that experience is important in a goalkeeper, and I don't think that Leno gives. I don't think that Leno gives our backline confidence at all, which is why I was really interested in Onana being brought in. But we'll see. I don't think we are going to bring in a starting goalkeeper. I think we'll bring in a homegrown backup. But let's wait and see. Some bloke says, with continental market a bit hamstrung by the pandemic and it looking to be a heavy loan market, do you see any opportunities for loans to come into Arsenal? Loans are useful at times. Matt Ryan was useful. Erdegaard was useful. Pablo Marie was useful. Cedric was useful. They're useful. They're not going to get you to your main targets. They'll help you to try, but they're not going to help you achieve them. And I think that loans are something that Arsenal of old have done because of our financial difficulties. But for me, right now, I want to see Arsenal buying targets, planning for the future, longevity, younger profiles, investment. I don't want to see loans anymore. I'm not interested in loans. I want to see Arsenal really push for the long term and invest. And that's what we need to do, in my opinion, this summer. Can you imagine? Right, so I've done 67 back-to-back transfer 8 a.m. shows. If you're new to the channel, we do a transfer daily. It's not called Transfer Daily, but, you know, it's the Arsenal transfer show, 8 a.m. every single day, in which I just talk to you through all the latest Arsenal transfer info and try and get some inside info. Very rarely, never regularly, but only little tidbits here and there. But we've been doing that show. Can you imagine if we had a summer like Petr Cech, or we had a summer like when Liverpool won the league and then didn't bring anyone in? Can you imagine if I had to do an 8 a.m. show and we just didn't sign anyone? Imagine that. I mean, that's what I've been doing for 67 days. We've not signed anyone for 67 days. So it's, it's crazy. Doug says, heard/saw a video of Leno working with Neuer about his distribution during the Euros. Well, fingers crossed that will help him because it's certainly something that he needs to work on. Vishal says, are there any updates on Emil Smith-Rowe? And actually, I think there might be, because I'm pretty sure that Osman Z the Gooner on Twitter, who is a good follow for all of your transfer news, tweeted some quotes from Mikel Arteta. Now, I don't know where they've come from. They've come from the Mirror, apparently, but I don't know how realistic that is. Let me just click on the actual article. Let's see. But the quote from Arteta supposedly is, he's very much engaged and wants to continue with us. That's for sure. Emil has earned the right to look at that situation because he's of the performance that he has produced. So what he means by that is obviously he wants to stay. Great, good news. But I don't see where the quotes are from. Okay, so Arteta has made his stance clear, saying Emil has earned the right to look at the situation because of the performance that he has produced. He's very much engaged and wants to continue with us, that's for sure. Smith-Rowe's verdict on Arteta points to the fact that he would like to remain under the guidance, previously heaping praise on his amazing tactics. Emil Smith-Rowe said, we're definitely going in the right direction with the team that we've got. I feel like we're destined for great things. The manager's tactics are amazing too. It's the little details. Now, he said that earlier this year. I don't know when Arteta said these quotes. I don't know where they're from. I don't know when they're from. So I can't give you any info on that. But there has been quotes in pound. So, go read the article if you want to see it. Thabo says, on that Czech summer, you would have exploded worse than when you did when Norwich signed Buendia. Yes, that was a very explosive video, and I'm not surprised it got over 20,000 views because I did explode when we didn't sign Buendia. So there you go. Wilson says, hi, Tom. I hope they're keeping safe and doing well. Thank you, Wilson. Wilson's one of our most loyal listeners, and he's very appreciated on the channel. And he always likes to start questions off with, why on earth are Villa sniffing around Smith-Rowe for? They're taking the mick. Because they can. It's as simple as that, mate. It's because they can. Steve Stone is another one of our fantastic members, says, Tom, I know top four is the long-term goal, but with West Ham and Leicester playing in Europe this season, do you think that fifth spot is a realistic target? Of course, I think fifth spot is a very realistic target for Arsenal. I think the top four is a target. Realism is a different thing. But because you look at the top four teams in England right now, Chelsea, Man United, Man City, Liverpool. Are Arsenal likely to get above those teams? Likely, no. Could they? Of course they can. And it's just about if we can maintain that form in the league that we had at the end of last season. That's the form that we need, is we need to try and win as many games. This season, fans are back. That will change things. That won't make things as unpredictable. It will make home games a lot more predictable to, predict. So that's something that you need to think about. Yes, you did, George. You caught one of our morning shows. Venkatesh says, Tom, any realistic loan targets you expect or want to see this season? If you mean in, then none. If you mean out, then Aziz, I'd like to see go out on loan. Keto Taylor-Hart, maybe go out on loan. Balogun, even, you maybe want to send him out on loan. Saliba, of course. Matteo Guendouzi and Mavropanos have already gone on loan, but look like they're going to be permanent exits eventually. Kolasinac, sell him, don't loan him. Trying to think of anyone else, really. Nketiah, don't loan him, sell him. Reece Nelson, don't loan him, sell him. Maitland-Niles, don't loan him, sell him. I'm trying to think of anyone else. Joe Willock, don't loan him, keep him or sell him. Either one of the two. I'm happy to keep Joe Willock. I think he's earned a right to try. So there you go. We've been going for 53 minutes, and I do need to wrap up the show because I've got a exceptionally busy afternoon, and I'm looking forward to it. So I will see you guys tomorrow morning for the 8 a.m. morning show. So please make sure you tune in for that. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always, speaking to you every single time. And I will see you tomorrow morning. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Join up as a member to help support it, and then you can join our Discord server as well if you come up if you become a expert member or TGT ambassador. See you tomorrow morning, guys. Have a fantastic day. Enjoy your Friday and enjoy your weekend if I don't see you before then. But as always, up the Arsenal.